Hey dudes, everybody seemed to like the last video where I talked about old internet posts from 1994, so I did a little more digging and found some more to talk about. These are all UseNet posts, and if you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about when I say that, you can check out this video, because I did a pretty okay explanation of what they are in that one, but no reason to rehash old information, so without further ado, let's get into these posts. Okay, so this first post is from November 22nd, 1994, and it's called Locks. A lock is when you have control of a game, you don't say. Example, having Kismet, a time elemental, and Stasis in play gives you a good lock on the game. Let's hear about some more locks. One of my favorite locks is in my black-red deck. I can often get out enough mind-stab thralls, disrupting scepters, hypnotic specters, hymn to Torak, and a mind twist that I keep my opponent at no cards. This continues to the point when they disenchant the scepters. That's when I finish them off with the disintegrate I was holding while the racks wore them down. It is a good deck, but it relies too much on getting a good combo of cards. I mean, that's kind of every deck. If I started with all of my assassins in my hand and some land, I could hold my opponent off for a while, but it would only be a matter of time. I really need those thralls, hymns, and a rack in the opening hand. Yeah, the old discard deck. Definitely a lock, I guess. Classic. I like it when your opponent has 2 life and 3 mana and you are holding 2 lightning bolts in your hand and have 3 creatures in play. I'd say you pretty much have a lock on that game. I don't know if winning the game is considered a lock, but yeah, sure, I guess. This next one I thought was pretty interesting. If you will indulge my ramblings, yeah, that's what we're here for, ramblings. A solid lock will have 2 key elements, a way to prevent or neutralize new spells, and 2, a way to deal with what is already in play. The easiest way to achieve is to kill your opponent's mana sources. Stasis is very elegant in this respect, because it often achieves both in one fell swoop, though at a cost. It is pretty hard to classify them because some are better in one respect than another, but here are the one I know, off the top of my head. Well, first off, yeah, that's a great definition of a lock. Those are the 2 things you need in a lock. I find this really interesting because he clearly has a finger on the pulse here, and then his examples are a little interesting. 1. Time Walk, Regrowth, Recall, and 7 mana. I mean, that's really good, and definitely you probably win if you get that down, but I don't know that I'd call that a lock. Stasis plus Obelisk of Undoing. Yeah, that's a great card. Time Elemental. Yeah, Stasis Time Elemental. That's a real thing. People play that in old school today. It's probably considered a niche deck, but it can win. Plus Birds of Paradise and Instill. Yeah, that's also pretty decent. And Kismet. Yep, classic Stasis Kismet. I don't think anybody plays Obelisk of Undoing anymore. That card is fucking expensive. But I guess theoretically it could work. Then we have Winter Orb with Icy Manipulator, Relic Barrier, and Tabernacle. I don't know. I mean, yeah, the Tabernacle's definitely applying pressure. I don't know if that's like a key piece of the lock, but sure. Winter Orb, Icy Manipulator, classic lock. Next we have Demonic Hordes, plus Witch Hunter / Obelisk / Time Elemental, plus Black Vice. Seems like a lot of mana. What? What are we even doing? Alright, yeah, sure. Okay. Number 5 is Life Tap / Death Grip plus Sleight of Mind. Yeah, Sleight of Mind makes sense there. Plus the Laces. Color changing and then using the color hate as a super efficient removal is a really fun idea. I've never been able to make it work really well, but it's certainly hilarious. Then we have Royal Assassin plus Icy Manipulator, another classic. I actually got some flack for not really talking about Royal Assassin in my Icy Manipulator video, which, fair enough, they were right. But yeah, that was a classic style. That one is probably better than the Well, maybe not better than Winter Orb Icy Manipulator, but it's definitely better than, like, Howling Mine Icy Manipulator. Number 7 is Old Man of the Sea, Preacher, Sea Singer, plus Diamond Valley Life Chisel. Yeah, I think that's pretty fun and still pretty decent in Commander and stuff like that. It's not really a good thing to do in 1v1 most of the time, but yeah, depending on what your card pool looks like, it can be fine. 2 plus Millstones plus Field of Dreams. And then we have an explanation for this one. Darn, looks like you drew land again. Field of Dreams. It makes your top card, the top card of your library is face up. So the idea there is that you can see what they're going to get, and then if you don't want them to have that, you can millstone them. And having 2 millstones means you have twice as many chances for it to work out for you. That's hilarious. I don't know that I would call that super good, and also, like, you actually don't necessarily have that great of control over that, because millstone takes 2 cards, right? So, like, if the 3rd card is really good, that doesn't do anything for you, well, doesn't do enough for you. And if the 5th card is really good, doing the 2nd one just fucked you even more, right? So, kind of a funny idea. I don't know that I would call it super good. Number 9, Lich plus, plus Time Walk Recall plus 7 mana. That's just number 1, but with Lich. Sure, I guess we can call that a lock if you want to. Number 10 is Lich plus 2 Viduran Enchantresses plus Mana Flare plus Circle of Protection Green plus Fast Bond plus Concordant Crossroads plus Throne of Bone, and also a shitload of black enchantments. Oh, that one's gonna be real easy to get into play. And whoever said Lich is not useful, I did. I'm pretty sure I'm on record saying Lich is not useful. I wish it was better. You can do some stuff with it, and you always see somebody trying to make a Lich combo work in old school, and I wish it was better, but it's you can win games with it, but it's not really good. It's not really good. Like when you summon your 2020 Trample Flying Throat Wolf on the first turn. Good to hear about Throat Wolf. I made a video on that forever ago. I don't remember if it's any good or not. Knowing me, probably not, but I probably put it up there, so if you want to find out more about Throat Wolf, be my guest. But yeah. The same guy, kind of a shit poster. I don't know what he means here, because he's like, Consecrate Land is Unlimited Edition, and I think Living Plane is Legends. He's probably responding to something someone said. Maybe I just don't have, like, that reply or something, but, like, yes, there is a Consecrate Land in Unlimited Edition, and Living Plane is Legends. Correct. I don't know how that moves the conversation forward, but anyway. Alright. Then we have a reply to the very reasonable take, followed by very questionable locks. Let's see what this guy has to say. This sounds fairly reasonable. However, the locks you list fail to meet both these criteria, primarily with respect to dealing with what's on the table. Yeah, I agree with that. Consider, as a counterexample, the case where your opponent has out Pestilence. In many cases, your combo will fail because it can't be killed off. Yeah, sure, that's one case. And then he's got opinions on these. The Time Walk Regrowth Recall 7 mana. Doesn't Recall remove itself from the game? I don't think this works. Yup. Stasis Obelisk Undoing Elemental. He likes this one. Yeah. Who doesn't like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 card combos? Who doesn't like those? Winter Orb plus Icy Manipulator, Relic Barrier, Tabernacle. Generally quite effective, but can be less so if your opponent has non-land mana sources or has Icy Manipulator / Relic Barrier himself. Yeah, also true. Demonic Hordes plus yada yada yada. Demonic Hordes can take a while to get rid of an opponent's lands, particularly later in the game. Nice, but hardly a guaranteed win. Yeah, I think it's really fucking funny. I agree. And then for Life Tap Death Grip and the color changers, This will have trouble with artifacts, guess that's what the laces are for. Will cause opponent serious trouble. Yeah, I mean, if you get this on, it's pretty fucking good. Like, if you manage to get one of these out and have a shitload of the color change cards in your hand, pretty sweet. Actually, I don't even know if this works in the rules at the time, because this was before batches, so who's to fucking say? But at certain points, doing this kind of thing can work, maybe not. We won't spend too much time on it, because even if it does work, it's stupid. A Royal Assassin plus Icy Manipulator. What? Assuming you can protect both of these, the most you can do is kill one creature per turn. This hardly guarantees a win. I mean, sure, but like, this is one of the better ones here. It's not super resource heavy, it's only 2 cards. Old Man of the Sea, Preacher, Sea Singer, Diamond Valley, Life Chisel, C6. Yeah, see, I agree with this criticism a little bit more here, but I don't know. For the 8, the Millstones and Field of Dreams. Nice, but does nothing to help against stuff on the table or in the opponent's hand. Yeah, that's true. It's also just dumb. Laughs at the Lich joke, which, fair enough, very funny. And then he's like, yeah, there's a lot of fun things to do with Lich. I agree with this too. Lich, super fun card. Hilarious. If you can make this, like, not instantly lose you a game or be embarrassing to play, it's a really fun and interesting card. It's one of those, I'm going to really change the shit out of this game cards that is really interesting in, like, old Magic designs. Lich is super cool. It just kind of sucks. Here's a lock. You're staring at the following hand with plenty of mana. Fork, Time Walk, Regrowth, Recall, Brain Geyser. For each extra turn you take, you should be able to ensure yourself 2 more. Yeah, if you have plenty of mana in a hand with like 4 fucking restricted cards in it, you're probably in a pretty good place. Especially if one of those is extra turns, and another one is drawn a fuckload of shit. I'm not sure I'd call that a lock, but yeah, you probably win that game. This guy takes exception to the concept of a lock entirely, which is absolutely silly. The only time you have a lock on the game is when it's over and you've won, or your opponent is a moron. I mean, I would agree with this on like most of the locks we've discussed here, but I have seen some players that are way fucking better at the game than me get locked out of a game before. I don't think you have to be a moron to get locked out of Magic. Oh, this one is cool. He mentions Psychic Venom works nicely. Especially if you can play 1 or 2 within the first few turns. And don't forget, Psychic Venom can also be played on your opponent's Maze of Ith to, at the very least, neutralize it. I'm a big fan of Psychic Venom. I think it's kind of an underrated card. I think it should probably see more play. I think it's very, very good, very cool, very interesting, pretty efficient too. I don't necessarily agree that it neutralizes the Maze of Ith. It definitely applies pressure, right? Because they take 2 damage every time they tap it. But if you're like swinging in with a fucking Juggernaut, like taking 2 is better than taking 5. So I wouldn't say it neutralizes it, but it definitely applies pressure. Like, it's a good thing to do. And it does put a time on how much they can do it, so it's a good strategy. I don't know that I would say neutralize. Then we got this guy. I don't like locks. If you want to play solitaire, don't make others watch. Yeah, fucking base, dude. Locks are kind of fun once in a while. If every game of Magic you ever played was a lock, I do not believe you would still be playing Magic. But I don't mind it once in a while. I think it's kind of fun occasionally. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Next we have New Player Strat Help. I am a fairly new player, and to the net. Yeah, most people are at this point. And I need suggestions. My main problem is my opponent. Yeah, dude, mine too. He has much better cards. Now, I can't really afford to buy cards, and I don't have a lot to trade. So with this in mind, I need some good strategy tips with mostly common and uncommon cards. Blue and green are my strongest. My opponent plays mostly black and blue, full of bog wraiths, hard to play black against, clones, doppelgangers, and loads of terrors. Alright, this is cool. Nothing, like, there's nothing to make fun of here. He's just asking for help, and early Magic, there's definitely Obviously, the expensive cards are way better, right? But there are actually, like, you can make a pretty decent deck with, like, not expensive cards, right? Because Swords to Plowshares was fairly cheap and not the most easy to get card, but certainly easier to get than a fucking Black Lotus or something. Lightning Bolt, same thing. Actually, even easier because it was a common. Pretty cheap, all things considered, and super efficient. So you can definitely, like, have a pretty good deck with cheap cards, and based on deck building at the time, you could definitely, like, just beat the shit out of anyone if you had a modern sense of how to build a deck. This one is just a quote. It doesn't actually say anything new. Don't know what's going on there. But here, we have some advice. His weakness will be his lack of disenchantments. How quickly do his creatures come out? I suggest white weenies and possibly green, with disenchants and even Circle of Protections. Yeah, if your opponent has better cards, I'd say by all means, play the circles. Swords to Plowshare will be your favorite card. Yeah, Swords to Plowshare is super efficient. If he has a large collection, he can also let you make a deck from the cards he isn't using. Yeah, super based. That's the right thing to do. Like, don't beat up on your friends that just because they, like, can't for whatever reason invest in the game as much as you. It's fucking maidenless behavior right there. Alright, and this next person is responding to this, but they also are talking about how quickly do his creatures come out. If you are a new player, you may not understand the importance of that question, smiley face. Clones and doppelgangers take quite a bit of mana. If you concentrate on a deck full of itty-bitty easy to bring out creatures, Scribe Sprites for example, great at 1/1 flying for just a green, yeah, super solid card back in the day, you may be able to overwhelm him before he gets the big stuff out. Just really good advice for a new player, for sure. War Mammoths are good green cards for a deck of commons because they trample, you can Giant Growth, also common. Yeah, that's another really solid card to be playing in this kind of, if this is your situation. You can Giant Growth them and let the damage roll on past his blockers to hit him. Yep. Curd Apes are red that cost 1 mana, but are a 2/3 creature if you have Forest in play. Cheap and pretty healthy. Yeah, great card. Like, it's obviously not super fucking busted, but pretty powerful at the time. If you decide to play with red as well, red-green is one of my favorite combinations. Yeah, pretty solid budget combination at the time. Lightning Bolts are cheap, 1 mana, and fairly easy to get out. Disintegrates will let you take out regenerating creatures. Yeah, solid advice here. They also have a comment down, if he has a large collection, he can let you make a deck from the cards he isn't using. It's not the size of the collection that counts, but how you use it. Yeah, that's both kind of true and also not fucking true. Like, so. But it is, you know, it is a funny joke and nice feel-good thing. Here's a not too tough to put together green-red combo. Ooh, we get a deck tech. 94 deck tech. 10 mountains, 10 forests. Yeah, for a budget list, that's pretty much the best you can do. 3 Dragon Whelps, solid choice. That card has, like, that was pretty good back in the day. 3 Keldon Warlords, less good from, like, a competitive aspect, but for this kind of stuff, yeah, pretty fucking solid. Certainly not an embarrassing card to play. 4 Curd Apes, solid. 4 Scribe Sprites, also really good. 4 Thalids, I mean, they were super fucking cheap and easy to get a hold of, and they're not the most embarrassing card ever, despite, you know, what people think of Fallen Empires. 1 Wall of Ice and 1 Wall of Brambles. Yeah, Wall of Brambles can be pretty fucking annoying to deal with, especially in the, you know, play creatures and stare at each other meta at the time. Wall of Ice is also pretty efficient. I think it's a 0/7 or 0/8 for 3 mana. I think it's a little worse than Wall of Stone, which is a 0/8, so... but there isn't much that can get over it, so for 3 mana, it's pretty solid. Then we got 4 Lightning Bolts, 2 Fireballs, Chain Lightning instead if you can get it, and 4 Disintegrate. Yeah, I agree with that. I would much rather have, like, 6 Lightning Bolts than 6 Fireballs. I think maybe I would do 2 Fireball, 2 Disintegrate. I don't know, like, it depends. Depends on what you're more concerned with. And with this list, you probably would be more concerned with the regenerating creatures, since, you know, it's just a bunch of small shit, so, fair enough. 4 Giant Growth, also pretty good. 2 Instill Energy. If you don't have it, put in a Tranquility or Stream of Life. Yeah, sure, Tranquility is pretty good, especially since this deck is, like, not running enchantments, and a lot of the enchantments were pretty fucking busted back then. Stream of Life, yeah, sure. 1 Berserk. Yeah, Berserker would be a fantastic card to get your hands on. Only printed to unlimited, so by this time it is a fairly expensive card, which is why they're like, yeah, it's not really a budget concern. Or why they're like, yeah, if you can't get it, like, it is what it is, but if you have it or can afford it, that's a good card to put in, which I agree with. 3, Gaia's Touch, which is a substitute for Wild Growth. Yeah, sure. With this list, I'd suggest Llanowar Elves, but other than that, like, it's pretty good. Obviously, a Birds of Paradise would be fucking sick too, but that's a fairly rare card. 12 of these creatures only take 1 mana to get out. The Thalids will spawn Saprolings, which will make the Warlords bigger by the round. The direct damage gives you the option to hit your opponent or take out a troublesome creature. Yeah. Very solid. I do like the idea of the Thalids, especially when you consider it with the Keldon Warlords. That's pretty interesting. Pretty solidly built deck, honestly. Very cool. But let's move on to the next one. Poison decks! Oh man, everybody loves poison. Everybody loves poison. I guess it's Infect now, or did they change it again? I don't know, there's like 4 or 5 different versions of it. Poison decks. Any idea on building a poison deck? What cards have the poison counter ability, besides that Pit Viper or whatever? Yeah, poison was interesting because they like, it was created in Legends, and they released like 2 cards for it, and then I think the Dark, I think it was the Dark, also released one, and they're like, that's all they ever released. So it was actually pretty hard to build a deck around it. The most excellent one I know of is the Serpent Generator. Yeah. A bit like the Hive, but cheaper and poisonous. Yeah, not what you would look at and say, wow, that's a good and efficient card, but like at the time, depending on what was going on, it wasn't the worst thing you could be doing. Alright, then this person. Poison critters. So far, only the Serpent Generator, Pit Scorpion, and Marsh Viper are costly to cast and must do damage to deliver the poisons, so making them unblockable with Fear, Dwarven Warriors, Tanos' Wand, and having lots of fodder to cast while you're waiting for mana, and have lots of spells, or Goblin Shurigans, to protect your weak poisonous critters once they're in play. Yeah, pretty solid advice. That is kind of the downside. They are, like, arguably worse creatures for the rate. They only have to hit half as often, so, you know, there's truth to this, I guess. We won't go too deep into it, but I love these posts that don't really seem to have anything to do with what they're replying to. A definite must for a black-blue deck is a Sorceress Queen and a bunch of Prodigal Sorcerers. Neither of these are horribly hard to find, or I am very lucky. The best thing is, in one round you can kill a monster of any size. Yeah, both Prodigal and Sorcerer's Queen were pretty solid cards back in the day. I'm not sure what this has to do with poison creatures, but yeah, solid advice. If you're ever back in 94 playing games, get your hands on Sorcerer's Queen. Prodigal Sorcerer, maybe. Those are the 2 cards you should focus on if you find your way back there. Nothing else. Winter Orb. Dun dun dun! At first, when I looked at the Winter Orb card, I was astonished. I thought it was way too nasty card when a friend of mine got it out of a booster. This was months back. We were totally newbies at Magic. We did the usual misinterpretation of a player may not to mean opponent may not. Yeah, they are different words, but yeah, I guess. When it was pointed out to us by another Magic player that the orb affects all players, it went from the list of killer cards to the useless list. Now, as I have played Magic for another 6 months after that, I've come to realize that there really are useful ways to play the orb. Even some really neat combos. I'll list a few. Power Leak. Leak one of your opponent's enchantment cards a few times and then play the orb. This sure hurts a lot. Yeah, best thing to be doing with Winter Orb, for sure. Ley Druid. Untap more lands than your opponent. Make sure that you have wild growths in that deck as well. Yeah, that's the second best thing to do with Winter Orb. Animate Artifact, Lifelace, plus Hammered Shaman. Hell yeah. A combo relying on quite a few cards, but damned useful. Animate that orb and Lifelace it to become a green creature. Then use Hammered Shaman to tap the orb at the end of your opponent's turn. Untap it, and all of your lands in your untap phase. The result is that you get to untap as many lands as you wish, while your own opponent gets to untap only one. Yeah, man. It's a shame there isn't, like, any other, like, easier way of doing this, that you have to, like, you know, life lace and animate your fucking Winter Orb just to be able to tap it. If only there was a 2-mana artifact that would let you do the same. Oh well. Phyrexian Gremlins, used in the same way as above. Damn, I had 3 gremlins and traded them all away. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. Yeah, Phyrexian Gremlins, I guess. Sure. Fantastic understanding of Winter Orb. Hell yeah, don't forget Icy Manipulator to tap that one. Try Relic Barrier from Legends. A lot of people have them lying around and would be more than happy to trade them for something. Yeah, for sure. Relic Barrier is super efficient, but it is pretty niche. Relic Barrier doesn't let you tap a land. The point is that he generally needs 2 mana to cast Shatter, etc. If you tap his land during his upkeep phase, so all he can do is cast with it is a 1 mana instant or interrupt, then when he plays a land during his turn, he can cast at most a 1 mana sorcery or enchantment. Icy that if you have 2 out. Yeah, but like, he could crumble it. Like, yeah, like if he blows up your thing, then you can't do the thing, but I don't know, Relic Barrier still, it comes down earlier, and costs less, right? So like if they shatter it, like it was you both spent a card and you both spent 2 mana. Not saying it's good to have your things blown up, but like that's fine, right? And if you are trying to do this, you're playing both of them, right? I don't know. He does make a fair point, I guess, but like not really, in my opinion. Alright, then we got a bigger reply here. This works, and Lay Druid with Wild Ropes are useful without the orb anyway. Yeah. The Hammerage Shaman one. This is absurdly difficult, and just isn't going to happen very often. Just add Relic Barriers and Icy Manipulators to disable the orb for you, and let it be active for your opponent. Might as well put in some other artifacts that you can manipulate this way too. Howling Mind, Ankh of Mishra, etc. Yeah, solid choices. And then for the Phyrexian Gremlins. This doesn't work nearly as well as the Relic Barrier or Icy. At the beginning of your untap phase, the Gremlins are tapped and the orb is tapped. Because the orb is tapped, all your lands untap fine, but because the Gremlins are tapped, the orb does not untap, so your opponent will have an untapped orb for their turn. Even though you may be allowing the Gremlins to untap, all untap actions happen in parallel, and because the Gremlins are tapped, going into the untap phase, the orb cannot untap. Now that moves the orb back into the killer card pile. Well, it's not killer, but it can be pretty effective at slowing down and annoying your opponent. Beware of weenie decks though. Any deck that only requires 1 or 2 mana for most of their spells is just gonna shrug at the Winter Orb. I mean, yeah, no, yeah, kinda. It's gonna affect them too, but obviously not as much. And if you're dumping all of your resources into getting that going, you are going to just get nickel and dimed pretty quick. That's a good point. Alright, one more. Note, simply use the Gremlins at the end of your opponent's turn. They tap as an instant, and then untap the Gremlins, all of your land, and finally the Winter Orb at the beginning of your turn. Stack your deck with artifact or creature mana sources, have everything be low casting cost. You can choose the order of events that happen at the same time during a phase. Just choose to untap the Gremlins before the orb. Okay, yeah. We're having arguments about the rulings. I'm not sure, but I don't think this is the case. I believe that everything untaps at once. As I recall Tom explaining it, everything looks to see if something's keeping it from untapping, and then all the stuff that isn't being held back untaps in one big action. No player choice involved. Thus the Gremlins Winter Orb thing doesn't really work very well. Alright, so we have people arguing about it, and this guy too. Double plus nope. Tom Wiley even has a post in the last day or two covering this exact situation. All untaps happen in parallel. As you come into the untap phase, everything checks to see if it may untap. Your lands check, and because Winter Orb is tapped, determine they may not untap. They may untap. Your orb checks, and because Gremlins is tapped, determine that it cannot untap. Now, everything that could untap does, including the lands and the Gremlin. if you choose to let the gremlins untap. But the orb remains tapped and won't untap until your next turn's untap phase. It doesn't matter that you plan to untap the gremlins. At the beginning of your untap phase, they are tapped, and so the orb remains tapped. All untaps occur simultaneously, not in an arbitrary order, like upkeep effects do. Alright, yeah, sure. I guess I don't really... I do think I remember seeing that post at some point. That might be true. Again, a lot of these rules changed, too. This is before batches, even. A lot of this stuff is super fucking confusing and ambiguous. Partially by design, because the game was never meant... When it was originally designed, it wasn't really meant to be like a super competitive thing. It was more just, you know, play with your D&D friends, right? And Richard Garfield found the idea of players kind of debating rules to be really interesting, because he's a fucking nerd, like me. And so that was like kind of baked in to be part of the experience. I'm not saying every ambiguous design was intentionally designed to be ambiguous, but he did, like, I think he stated a few places that it, like, wasn't a super big deal to him. Which, yeah, sure. Like, if that's your, like, with the game design vision at the time, I agree with that. But let's check out the next one. Magic veterans, share your trimming knowledge with this deck. In the past, I have received a great deal of help from the congenial souls of the internet with my tournament deck. Now, almost with the growing trend, I have decided to try my hand at a stasis deck. This is really an experiment, and I would love to hear your thoughts about the deck that follows. Please let me know what cards you would remove and add, assuming a tournament situation. Thanks a bajillion. Alright, let's see what he's got. So, 2 stasis, 2 clone, 2 control magic, 3 counterspell, 3 power sync, time walk, time twister, ancestral recall. Nah, you should cut these 3. They don't do anything. 2 kismet, 4 Sarah Angel, 3 disenchants. Green, 4 birds, 2 instill, and regrowth. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Artifacts, Black Lotus, the 5 Moxen, 2 Icy Manipulator, 2 Meekstone, Soul Ring. And then the land is also what you'd expect. 4 Savannah, 4 Tropical Island, 4 Plateau, 2 City of Brass, and 1 of each. Total cards, 60. It's still a tad rough, and I would really appreciate any help you might have. Thanks. Yeah, honestly, pretty solid for the time. He's kind of pulling the deck in too many directions. Like, the clones probably don't... let's see what other people are saying. I would put in some of those Zephyr Falcons. It takes a little while to get those Sarahs, and you may want something in there in the early game, probably what he meant there. Also, you may want to include other spells to tap their creatures. Yeah. Also, you may want to include some other spells to tap their creatures. Yeah, I would consider, like, a Relic Barrier or 2. You could also try adding in resets, boomerangs, and or time elementals. Ooh, that's a good idea. In order to untap your lands without untapping his. Obelisk of Undoing would work as well. That's so expensive. Also, if the theme is stasis, you should put 4 of them in there to make sure it gets out when you want it to. Same goes for the Kismets too, seeing as how you're playing white. I wouldn't worry so much about the clones and control magics, since your opponent won't be able to make much use of creatures, assuming you get the right cards out quickly enough. You might also want to use Black Vices and throw a Brain Geyser in there, since he's going to have a tough time casting things. If done right, these decks can be really nasty. I managed to beat one a couple times by finally running the other guy out of counterspells. And I believe that it was a partial theme in the World Champion deck. Hope this helps. Oh, yeah, so this is after the 94 World Champion. Yeah, that deck ran Stasis, Kismet, maybe Time Elemental. I don't remember the deck list off the top of my head, but yeah, it did the Sarah Angel Stasis thing. The one thing that this deck is missing is Mana Short. Yeah, Mana Short. Only thing this deck is missing. Mana Short would make this deck way fucking better. The main reason, as far as I can see, for using Stasis is to stuff the other player in the corner. Use a Mana Short towards the end of his or turn, then use Stasis. Then you've got him. Yeah, that's pretty good. Use a Mana Short. Play it, just 1 Mana Short though. Absolutely, but I'd use more Power Syncs than Mana Shorts. Yeah, that I agree with. Power Sync is actually pretty decent, especially in a high color deck at the time. Obviously, it's not the best thing in the world, but it's better than people give it credit for. Time Elemental! You have a Stasis Kismet deck without Time Elemental? I agree. Black Vice! You have a Stasis Kismet deck without Black Vice? Yeah, probably. I don't know that Black Vice is, like, as necessary. Like, it definitely adds new message. It's not a new message. This is from 94. Why do you keep saying that? Anyway, Black Vice is definitely good. Don't know that it's necessary. Howling Mine, Winter Orb. You have Icy Manipulators without Howling Mine and Winter Orb? Yeah, and Howling Mine definitely becomes much better if you add the Black Vices. So, like, definitely this direction is probably the better way to take it, but, Clone, Instill Energy. Forget the Clone and the Instill Energy. Sub in Balance and Swords to Plowshares and Wrath of God, and add in more Stasis, lest you want to die a quick and relatively painless. Too quick to be painful. Take out a few mana birds. 2 words. Vesuvian Doppelgangers. Why would you say take out Clone and then add Vesuvian Doppelgangers? Like, yeah, sure, it's a little better, but it costs an extra mana, and, like, the point of Clone not doing fucking anything in this list is still true of that. I do agree it's probably better just to cut the fucking green at all. Like, I would cut the birds and just add 2 more City of Brass. But yeah, I don't know that the green is really helping the deck. Obviously, you're doing it for the regrowth, but you could, like, remove the birds and the Instill Energy and just keep the regrowth. And even keep the, like, fucking Tropical Islands if you wanted. It's a solid deck for, you know, tournament at the time. Obviously not the best thing we've seen. But it's, like, it's pretty decent. Like, the foundation is okay. Let's move on, though. Green/black counterspells. I am just starting Magic, so I don't have too many cards yet. But so far, I enjoy a green-black deck. Cool creatures, spells, art, and I can beat most of the other newbies I play with. Good for you, dude. My problem is that I don't have or know of any cards that can counter spells thrown at me by my opponents. I always have to take all spell damage on the chin. Are there any black-green artifacts that can help me out? Give me some ideas so I know what to trade for. Yeah, there aren't too many of that kind of stuff. Kinda. Ring of Immortals. Pretty bad card. Forethought Amulet. That'll appear up there. I don't remember what that one does. Nova Pentacle? Is that real? Maybe. I don't know. It'll show up there. Like, I'll scour through every fucking card that existed at this time. I don't remember hearing about that one. Simulacrum? Spelling? Yeah, I don't know either, dude. But yeah, kinda. Like, if your concern is you're black-green and you don't want to take a giant fucking fireball, that'll do something. Avoid Fate? Yeah. Void Fate kind of sucked back then. It didn't target instants, so, like, that doesn't actually do anything against most direct damage, but it did fuck with, like, paralyzes and, like, spirit links and shit like that. And it also fucked with, like, the laces, but it's kind of about it. Alright, and then, well, there's Life Force to prevent black spells from coming at you, a green card, and Death Grip to prevent green spells from coming at you, a black card. These might also be good if your opponent sends one of spells back at you. Okay, yeah. There's also Tranquility to get rid of annoying enchantments. It'll get rid of your good ones too, so use sparingly. Yeah. Savine Elves can remove enchantment cards. Finally something to deal with the scourge of good enchant land cards. Tsunami will wipe out Blue's islands before he can even cast a spell, but Blue can counter it pretty easy. Yeah. To counter damage to you, not to creatures, there's Stream of Life. Great when you have, like, 10+ forests on the board. Wooden Sphere, Artifact, and Throne of Bone. There's also a blue card that gives the controller 1 point of life when his opponent's forests are tapped. Life... I forget what the fuck it's called. It'll be up there. That's off the top of my head. What? No Dark Sphere? Dark Sphere? The Dark is out at this point. You mentioned the Dark. No Dark Sphere? Alright. Life Tap. Yeah. Very useful when teamed up with a Death Grip and you are going against a green deck. Yeah, except it's not useful when you're not. Okay, if you want counter spells, you only have 3 possible options that I know of. And they don't work well except in special cases. Big true. Death Grip and Life Force are quite effective spell counters for use against green and black spells, respectively. Avoid Fate will let a creature dodge an enchantment or an interrupt. This is a green instant. What? Is Avoid Fate an instant? Interesting. If true. but probably isn't generally useful except for control magics, etc., which can get quite nasty. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Control magic, like, I'm not saying a Void Fate was a bad card, it's just, it hits more targets now. I only put them in occasionally when playing against blue. Yeah, it's a better sideboard card than anything else, for sure. If you want to avoid damage done to you via spells, you're probably upset about fireballs. One word for you, Simulacrum. For 2 mana, you can shut off all damage done to you in a turn onto one of your creatures. When I picked up 3 of these, my roommate quit slinging damage at me and started hitting the creatures instead just because he didn't want the chance to the spell going to waste. Also, play with Streams of Life, and you can essentially cast the anti-fireball to make it much harder to kill you. Yeah, sure. Yeah, but when I whip out my mana drain and throw a 15-point fireball at you and then fork it, you don't stand a chance. Blue is one of the best defenses. If you need to counter spells and all, use blue. Yeah, I do agree with that. Stream of Life is a waste. What would you rather get? Your Stream of Life that I would just fork to myself, or a FON? It's the Force of Negation sticks in my head. It's definitely not talking about that. Fuck, maybe I'll figure it out in post. I don't know what that one is. A good deck is going to be at least 75% offensive. Yeah. And that's usually how things work. Not always the case, not every meta and everything like that, but often in the game, being aggressive is better than not. Any suggestions for this white creature deck? Man, I love net decking 94. Hi, I'm looking for some help with a white creature deck. Here's what I've got already. Artifacts, Basalt Monolith, Ivory Cup, Ivory Tower, Soul Ring, Stone Calendar. White, Blessing, Castle, Circle of Protection Black, 2, Circle Protection Red, 2, Crusade, 2, Disenchant, 4, Exorcist, 4, Acacian Javelineers, 4, Mesa Pegasus, 2, Northern Paladin, 2, Resurrection, Righteousness, 3, Semite Healer, 2, Savannah Lions, 4, Sarah Angel, 2, Swords Plowshare, 2, Veteran Bodyguard, and 2, White Knight. 20 planes. So it's a 66 card deck with 24 creatures. A couple of questions. How's the creature mix? Have I left out important cards? Any idea or help would be appreciated. Thanks. Yeah, you have some stinkers in here and there's some good cards you're missing. Let's see what they say. Personally, I ditched the Paladin and the Exorcist from the main deck and only put it in a sideboard. It's just not useful at all unless you play against black. Yeah. But you are missing a couple things you should consider. Martyr of Corliss. Yeah, put Martyr of Corliss in your deck. Protects from artifact damage much like the Bodyguard protects from creature damage. If nothing else, he'll negate Rods of Ruin and take a hit from a rocket launcher. Holy Armor! I can't believe you don't have any of these. Put them on the Bodyguard and Martyr, and so long as you have a free mana, you'll never get hurt. That's kind of cute. Nobody... Yeah, no balance. We're just not gonna mention balance. Or Armageddon. This is a pretty good Armageddon deck, right? Yeah. Wrath of God in the sideboard, maybe? Alright. Let's see what this one has to say. If I were you, I would cut down on your artifacts and beef up the number of cheap creatures, like Mesa Pegasus. 1/1 Flying Banding. Isn't he running 4 of those? He's running 4 of those. What are you fucking talking about? Oh, he's just using that as an example of other creatures. Banalish Heroes, banding, Pikemen, first strike banding, more White Knights, first strike rules, yeah, and the protection does, and it's a fucking 2/2 with 2 keywords for 2 fucking mana, and you're a monocolor deck. Like, it's actually fucking insane at the time as far as rate goes. Another idea is to go with millions of cheap creatures, and a few instant cards like Army of Allah, yeah, that's pretty decent in this, or Morale, sure. You'd be surprised how much damage you can do with 5 or 6 creatures attacking when you drop an army and a moral on the same turn. Yep. Yeah, that's how math works. For defense, drop in a couple of disenchants and a few Wall of Swords. Yeah, I actually agree with that. One, I think Wall of Swords is actually pretty fucking good. In, like, old formats, I think it's underrated. It's obviously no fucking, like, Ancestral Recall or anything, but it's actually a pretty solid rate, and the flying is nice. Disenchant, obviously a great card, especially at the time. If you can, instead of your Northern Paladin, get Hand of Justice. Tap 3 white creatures, and it and you destroy any creature. Yeah, I'd agree. Hand of Justice is definitely better than Northern Paladin. It's not the worst high-end card to be running, but like I would say no. Don't do either of these. Get those out of there and just run 4 Armageddon. It can kick ass. Have fun. I mean, overall, not terrible advice. This is weird he mentions it's like he didn't read. Like, at first, I don't know. Whatever. Right. If you can toss in more Crusades and Holy Strengths. Did I not read that? Yeah, that's also a fairly solid idea. I usually avoid the Holy Strength and Holy Armor, especially with new Fallen Empire cards. With it, you can add Acacian Javelineers. Yeah, that's actually a card that's pretty solid. Another one that's kind of overlooked. Acacian Priest. No. Acacian Infantry. I mean, you definitely have more efficient options. And Acacian Scout. I guess. Like, they're all cheap 1/1s, but, like, I would say, honestly, like... you're better off running, like, Timberwolves, or not, Tundra Wolves. You're better off running, like, Tundra Wolves than even fucking Banalish Hero. Also, Feral Zealot, 2/2. If not blocked, you can tap it to do 3 points of damage to any creature and no damage to opponent. Yeah, okay. Order a Leaper. Yeah. I forgot those are available. Yeah, you should be running 4 White Knight and 4 of these. Absolutely. Cool! Old ass spelling of cool. Yeah. How many of you have ever seen that before? Good old cool. I've started collecting white now that I've come back into the game. When I started, I played black all the time, and I traded away lots of white goodies, like the Veteran Bodyguard, a Wrath of God, and had virtually no real nice white cards to play with. Thus, I started trading for more white with my collection. Anyway, onto the deck. Artifacts. I'm not sure the Basalt Monolith will help you much. The only real help it might be is powering the COPs. But you'd have to recharge it later anyway. The Stone Calendar might come in handy, but it's damn expensive to bring out at first. Yeah, no, like, the Soul Ring's good, the running Ivory Towers is solid, Ivory Cup is okay, like, it's not a good card, but, like, it's not offensive, but the Basalt Monolith, like, does nothing here, and the Stone Calendar does even less. I'd go with a previous poster and tell you to beef up a bit on the creatures. More White Knight and Crusades, Thunder Wolf, yup, Thunder Spirits if you can get them. Not much can beat a 2/2 first strike flyer. Yeah, the Thunder Spirits is great. Reserve list card only printed in Legends. It's probably way easier to get your hands on back then than it is now. But yeah, it's pretty solid. Stop that Hypnotic Spectre dead in its tracks. Oh, yeah. I didn't even consider that. You can use it to counter the Hypnotic Spectre. Too bad the Hypnotic Spectre has a Dark Ritual to get out 2 turns before you do, but whatever. I mean, you do, if you could get a Black Lotus, I guess you counter that, maybe. Not as consistently, obviously. First striking is wonderful to have. Yes. Oh, and the Pikeman too. The Northern Paladin and the Exorcist are really only useful against black decks, seeing as you're not playing blue, so you can't slay them to destroy other colors. That's also not good. Don't fucking do that. So ditch them. I sideboard them. And get some of the creatures I mentioned above. Maybe a couple of Morales, Army of Allah, and if you can manage it, Jihad, which gives all white creatures +2, play 1, while opponent has cards of the color of your choice in play. Or Angelic Voices, probably even better than a Crusade. Maybe. Good luck, and may the luck of the gods be with you. Yeah, you forgot about the coolest creature of all, the Preacher. Yeah, Preacher is interesting. I don't know how well it fits into this strategy, but, like, I don't know, could be fine. The problem with the Preacher is like, white has pretty insane removal at the time anyway, so, like, just do that, but sure. Acacian Town is also good. Yeah, Acacian Town can be pretty good. It's, like, it's pretty fair rate for the time. Alright. Here is a very successful white creature deck. Alright, let's check this one out. 4 Sarah Angel, 4 Pegasus, 2 Banalish Hero, 2 White Knight, 4 Pikemen, or 4 Tundra Wolves. Or cut the White Knight for the Banalish Hero. I mean, I would do the opposite of that personally, but sure. Oh, I guess I see the logic because the Mesa Pegasus is 2 for the curve. Yeah. Don't know. It's hard. 4 Disenchants, 4 Crusade, 4 Morale, 4 Holy Light, 2 Armageddon, 2 Castle, 4 Swords to Plowshares. And 20 Plains. COP Red and maybe others in the sideboard. Decent deck, for sure. Again, like, not bad, like, these are not bad decks. Obviously, we look at it a little different today, but, you know, standing on the shoulders of giants and shit, but, like, at the time, this is pretty fucking cool. I don't know. I thought it was neat. Use of deep water. Magic card. Does anyone know of a good use for a deep water blue magic card? I can find no value in this card. Can anyone tell me what the intent of this card is? Well, the intent of the card is to make you think, probably, and to give you other options and maybe come up with something that the designers didn't consider. The card is pretty buns though. If you are playing a multicolor deck but need a lot of blue mana, use Deep Water. Yeah, yeah, that's the use. That's the use case. Oh, this one's kind of funny. Why is the Time Vault banned? Hi all, I am just wishing that Time Vaults aren't banned from tourney play. Sure, it is a deadly card with the Instill, Animate, Artifact combo. So that's Instill Energy, Animate, Artifact, Time Vault is the combo. And so you put you animate the Time Vault to turn it into a creature. And then you put the Instill Energy on it, and you can untap it once per turn for free. And if you tap it it's just infinite turns. Sure, it is a deadly card with the Instill, Animate, Artifact combo, but there are so many ways to stop this before it materializes. Also true. It takes 3 cards to make this combo work. That is not easy. Also true. Consider Channel Fireball combo. Only 2 cards. I mean, generally, like, if you want to do it before your opponent can do anything, then it's 3 cards, because you need the Black Lotus as well. How about Channel Fireball Black Lotus? 3 card first turn kill. Why isn't Channel banned? Okay, yeah, he's saying it right. I wish the Wizards of the Coast would reverse their ruling on this so I can actually play with my Time Vault. What do you guys think? This is an interesting opinion. I don't know if it was right or wrong to ban it. At the time, I wasn't playing. Well, I think the channel is not banned because it can really screw you up. For example, if you are at 20 and I'm at 17 and you channel 17 to kill me with your Fireball, well, I let your channel go through, but I counterspell your Fireball, you are basically screwed. Well, I usually use channel when I have a Mirror Universe out. I channel away my life and then try to switch it with the other guy. Yeah, that's a pretty funny way to do it. Yeah, it's a solid logic. I don't know if, hey, counterspells exist is a good reason to not ban something. Is also the logic, like, yeah, whatever, I guess. I think the deciding factor for banning was that there are multiple ways to make the Forever combo work. Consider a deck with Time Vaults, Twiddle, Animate Deads, Instill Energies, Zenic Poltergeists, Jandor Saddlebaits, Transmute Artifact, Demonic Tutor, and Reconstruction. With those cards, a tourney legal deck would have 6 ways to get the Time Vault into play. The Time Vault, the Demonic Tutor, and the 4 Transmute Artifacts, which is pretty much inevitable, plus plenty of ways to untap it. Personally, I do not think the combo is such a big deal, but I usually have 4 Disenchants and 4 Swords Plowshares in my deck. The actual reason the Time Vault was banned was the decision makers of the Duelist Convocation felt it was dominating tournaments with empirical evidence to back them up. At this point, I suspect the most serious players have plenty of practice disrupting such troublesome combos, and the Time Vault would not do quite so well. Okay, yeah, this guy probably knows more about it than I do. I guess it would make sense that it was dominating in very, very early tournament structures, and banning it to increase diversity is probably a good idea. I like his logic about, you know, you have 5 other fucking cards to go get it, so restricting it doesn't really do that much. That's true. And also, even if you're not doing the combo, just twiddling it is still really fucking good, right? So, it makes sense. As for the Channel Fireball combo, there are many ways to disrupt it, except before your first turn. It is too dangerous to use against a blue player. There are risks against even red, white, and black players. Personally, I do not like cards that I would only dare use if my opponent is all tapped out. Too many partial blue players out there who often leave a couple mana lying around. Yeah, also solid logic there. Pretty interesting. I don't really have a horse in this race at all. No real opinion on it, but it is cool to see the debate. And I also have, like, looked at Time Vault, saw that it was banned, and was like, honestly, Time Vault kinda sucks. It doesn't, like, suck, obviously, but in, like, old school, it's fine. It's fine. Like, it's fine. In my opinion. But let's move on to Sorrow's Path usage. The question of the fucking ages. Any idea on how to use this neat looking card? I can think of none. You and me both, dude. Hi there. The best use for Sour's Path is to use Gauntlets of Chaos and give it to your opponent, and then use Ices or Twiddle to tap it. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. That's fucking great. I wouldn't even be mad. I'm pissing myself. Anyone who has the balls to run shit cards just to give them to their opponent is fucking great. Well, if you've got trampling creatures, it's pretty useful. Other than that, though, yeah, it's not awful. There's definitely game states where it's like, fuck, man, this is annoying. Well, it's useful for wiping out your own creatures. Yeah, you can do that. Well, there is, theoretically speaking, that means we know it's good, the possibility of putting it into a Pestilence deck. Pestilence, White Knight, Order Elite Burr, Black Ward, COP Black, and Deathlacing it. Or you could use it with a Weenie Horde, Blood of the Martyr, and reverse damage. But the only time I've seen it used was in an Urzatron that was bringing out a huge number of creatures with very high toughness. And even then, I'm not sure it was worth it. Yeah, I would agree. It was probably not worth it. Really cool to see Urzatron, like, being slaying all the way fucking back in 94. I'm not surprised because Tron is obviously a really fucking old thing too. But it's cool to see that. But I thought this was funny. Sorrow's Path, famously a pretty bad card. Some people say it's the worst card in the game. What's the tree? Tree Elemental? Tree Folk Elemental? I don't know. I think my personal take for the worst card in the game is the one that's right above me. But Sorrow's Path is very weak. Alright. That's what I have for you today. Hopefully you found these interesting. I thought they were pretty fucking hilarious. If you want to, like, look at these posts yourself for whatever reason, I'll link them in the description. And, yeah, that's all I have. So you can like the video if you liked it. You can subscribe if you give a shit. But either way, I hope you have a magical day. Thank you for watching.